And this is for Jim. Yes, I am going to complain about daylight savings time again because it sucks and it's messing me up. But we got the one and only Brandon, B2R Investing back, and we got Dylan. So, morning, fellas.
Good
Morning.
morning.
Yeah. So, like I mentioned before, Brandon is my day two regular guest, and Dylan's joining us today. I'll put their links to their channels in the chat, so go please subscribe. But we're going to kind of talk about lessons learned and also dig into a little bit in the build to rent model because I saw Dylan recently put out a short or video talking about build to rent in his area. So, Brandon, what is your lessons learned since you have such a long career in real
Long
estate?
career of 4 years. No, you know, I was telling Mark before we went live that I did my first practice of the speech that I'm going to do in February, and it was just good to kind of talk about some things and work out the bugs. But that's coming soon. But I did put some lessons learned in the speech. I'm not going to give everything. I'm still going to hold some for February. Um, but one of the big things that I learned is that the home run does not happen on the first purchase or the first build, but the home run does happen if you pick up the lessons learned. So that's the home run. I would call it, if for the baseball analogy, it was probably a single, maybe a double, but single. And I learned what I would do better on the next build. Some of the things that I learned was this one was a top and bottom fourplex. And people tend to not like that as much. I've had more turnover. I've had some noise complaints. And even with what I did in between, I put in sound dampening flooring. I put in spray foam insulation in between the two floors. I did everything you could think of. It didn't work. And also the property didn't have curb appeal. So it was a lot of concrete and it just looked very sterile, and it was 2 bedroom. And for my area, I found my two bedrooms turn over all the time, or turns over a lot more. I've got 3 bedrooms and I've only had one single turnover in 3 years. So I worked on the curb appeal for the next builds. But that's the first one that I wanted to share. And I know, Dylan, you've got questions about build to rent, and I'll add some more as we talk through it.
Yeah. First, though, I think the concept of a base hit versus going for home runs on the first ones is really important. I actually talked about that in my last YouTube video, and I even mentioned it in the one I have coming out Thursday, that I think too many people, because they watch the stuff that we all put out on the successes, focus on doing something like that when that's not what's most important on the first one. It's more important that you get started. It's kind of just like doing YouTube videos, honestly. If you start, that's the most important thing, because that's where most people don't even get to that point.
Wow, this is almost like a replay of yesterday's with Cody Davis. We kind of talked about why a lot of people fail in real estate investing, and it kind of wraps into what we're talking about today, lessons learned. And I think they all kind of intertwine with each other. I do want to say good morning to everyone. I do see Cody Davis tuning in, and like I told him yesterday, I think a lot of people relate to him a lot more now because of the transparency of a lot of the lessons and struggles that he may have encountered in these past few years. Flavio says my favorite guest today. Not sure which is he referring to. Both
Probably
of
Dylan.
you.
It's probably Dylan.
I bet it's Brandon.
And I do want to clarify. We did say Brandon is speaking at the One Rental at a Time event, and I think Dylan needs to clarify. People think it's Dylan. I think this Dylan.
I'm not speaking.
Yes. So
I would if I got asked. I didn't get asked, so I'm not speaking.
I think Zuber did mention Dylan is speaking, and a lot of people were giving you shout outs in the daily financial news today. So just to confirm that it is not our Dylan that it is speaking at the One Rental at a Time this year, maybe in future years.
Maybe.
But Let's see. What Dylan? Do you have any other? Since you're a little bit newer, maybe
Mhm.
than both of us, is there something that you've picked up on recently in lessons learned besides the traditional, like getting started, maybe and whatnot?
Yeah, I've started to learn that you have to be a little bit more strict with people and hold to your guns. Like, there's times to work with tenants, and then there's times where you should just not accept or bend at all, because then they start to treat that like it's the norm. Like, if you let somebody pay late a few days and you don't have a late fee, there's exceptions. Like, if somebody's switching a job or something like that, I'm not going to punish them for switching jobs and not being able to pay until a few days later. But if that's a recurring problem, uh, you really need to hold to your guns and charge late fees. I think bending it to just whatever they want to do will only cause future problems in your portfolio and overcomplicate things. I want to say that's something that I've learned rather recently, actually, and I'm going to start sticking to charging late fees more often.
Interesting. Hyder says, yeah, Dylan would be a great speaker when asked, no doubt. And Flavio said both of you. He's talking about both of you as his favorite guests.
Oh,
So one Gen Z and one geezer, I guess. He like.
Well, whatever. I am still Gen X.
Are you? You are definitely on the you barely made
I'm
it, I
not the
think.
boomer yet. I'm a Gen X. I'm there with Dion, Mike. Not Mike. Dion, Michael, and I are about almost the exact same age. I'm 53, about to turn 54, and I think they're about that same age too.
All right, before we dig into some more lessons learned, Harrison Trade Better 99 is asking Dylan, do you take partial payments?
it depends. I have a tenant that likes to pay ahead of time. So they'll actually pay, like, if the month is due on December 1st, they'll pay on February 7th, February 14th, February 21st, and February 28th. Like, every time they get paid, they give me a fourth of the rent. That's fine. But if it's after the rent is due, I don't like the idea of taking partial payments because it can mess up the eviction process if I need to evict somebody. So I prefer that they pay all at once if they're going to be late.
All right, and then he just says, I see Dylan speaking next year for
Geez.
sure.
Let me
Yeah.
build a bigger portfolio first. I don't want to go up there with like what I have now. I want to have a little bit more knowledge to share with everybody.
I want to say good morning to Victor. Victor's in the school community, and I know he is doing some ground up builds in, I want to say Mexico. I think he got a bunch of land, I believe, right? And he's putting up like I don't know, honestly, maybe 15 to 16 units, possibly.
In Mexico?
I believe so, right? Wasn't that what he said, Dylan?
If it's who I remember saying this, I thought he had like a really big development going on, like 100 and something houses or something like
could
that.
be
But
that, yeah.
starting off with like the 15 to 16, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. But I believe that's the Victor that joins the school calls on the Gen Z one when Dylan and Cody show up. But I had to throw that out there. But yeah, so let me just ask you this, Brandon, because I see a lot of people reaching out to you for the build to rent model, and even you, that's what you're going to be speaking on in Vegas. Would you think that would be a good strategy for a new investor to dig right into from the beginning?
Maybe. The reason I had I want to say some experience is that I had built 3 houses myself. So when I jumped into it, it wasn't I'm going to learn. Well, I was learning, but it wasn't the same type of learning. If you've never built before, it could be done if you have the right relationship contractor. If you've got a solid contractor with solid numbers, good reputation, and will almost like partner with you to allow you to learn, I think it could work. But you've got to have your numbers extremely dialed in. I just had experience. I had built, and let me just say this, going backwards, my parents had built every house that we had ever lived in. They did all the design. They were the general contractor. So I was around it. That's all I ever knew. And so I built my first houses too, even though I had a general contractor. And then the last build was a custom build, full custom build that I GC'd. And then it was natural for me to do it with the build to rent model. So I think it would be a challenge being a rookie investor.
That's what I was thinking. If you're not like, if you've never done that before, GCing the whole project is like, if you've never owned a rental before, GCing a development project does not sound ideal.
GCing, I wouldn't even recommend it. And I talk about it in the speech, and I'll explain why, but it just wasn't worth it for me for the savings. I wanted a GC so that I could continue looking for more land and continuing the projects after that. And I had a very good general contractor that helped save me a lot of money. Though it's a partnership. He and I kind of do it together, even though he's leading certain aspects of it. I'm handling now certain aspects of it, but we've partnered together. We've now built 3. I'm trying to think back. No, 4 together. We're building 2 more. I was texting him this morning. We're working on the build permit this morning. We'll build 2 more starting next week. We might be able to move dirt and clear the lots. So when I'm speaking in February, I'll be able to give some updates because I'm going to do the filming for these builds. I think it's going to break up into 6 or 8 parts. And each part, I'm going to break down the costs and explain them even more. But I'm going to save those videos so that they're back to back to back for next summer, so that I can have a break in the summer and have a series where it's back to back. Because I did it the last time and it was broken up in between other videos, and I think it was just harder for people to find them and to follow.
Hyder's saying, I built my custom built tiny house. Each cut, nail, and trim was all installed by my hands only. Kind of strokes the ego. I do have a question for you, Brandon. So on the build to rent, you're only building what, single family homes? Or
yeah, well, right now I do have one more multifamily lot that's probably going to be a build in possibly 26, possibly 27. Sorry, I'm in the middle of the beach area, of resort area. So if you hear these honks and different things, but so I've got a multifamily for 26 or 27. Right now I'm doing a bunch of single families. I'm wanting to break it up into having about 50-50 multifamily, single family, because they operate a little different and their value and their pricing and what they're worth is slightly different. It's a diversification play. Same strategy, different geography. Little bit of diversification with geography.
when you say multifamily, are you speaking the duplex, triplex, quad, or even bigger? Okay.
No, right now, these are quadplex, triplex. The next lot, I'm able to do the same thing as I've done a video before, the triplex with the storage units on the side. That's about the size of the lot. I don't think I can get 4 units on there. It's probably just going to be 3 units. But with the storage units, I've got 4 10 by 10. Actually, on that one, it'll be 5 10 by 10 storage units. It's cash flow, if you count it as the profit of that $200, $250 a door on the storage unit. So it almost functions like a 4th unit. But it gives the renters, I'm generating more revenue.
So Troy Roberts says, y'all bunch of bums get to work. So yes, Brandon, like he said, he is on the beach. And I did warn people yesterday that I required that you did wear a shirt on the live stream.
He told me, and I made a comment, no, I won't be like Ula from 50 First Dates that never wore a shirt in the movie. So, I'll do that. And I'm here. You can see the houses right across from me. This house is a short-term rental, and I'm second row. So these houses right behind me, some of y'all can see it in the background. These are first row, and just a little context. So these first row lots, these are 5,000 square foot pieces of sand They sell for $1.5 million just for the 5,000 square feet.
Before we get into Harrison's question and Charles' question, I do see Chris Webb here. He's just saying, what beach?
This is Port Aransas in Texas. It is not Galveston. I'm not in Galveston crap. This is white sandy beach and a clean beach town. So everybody thinks of Galveston, Galveston Beach. This is not. This is more like South Padre. The sand's starting to become whiter. The water's clearer. It's like a South Padre kind of deal.
All right. So I also see Joel lending for entrepreneurs here. So if you need a good lender, his YouTube channel is in the chat. He's also in school now. So I do see a lot of people reaching out to him. Yeah, so he'll be on with me tomorrow with Lauren Elaine, who's building a boutique hotel in Idaho. And also my friend's wife is going to be on, Elisa. They're financially free, but now she's getting to follow her passion of fitness. And she's blending that and business. And so we're going to tie all that in. But Harrison does have a question for you, Dylan. It says, how easy is it to get land and permits in the area you're looking to build?
Decently difficult to get the land, at least. And when I say get the land, I mean for a decent price to do everything. The development that I was talking about in the short, I actually met somebody that they build multifamily built to sell. And I was running the numbers on their properties to see if they made sense. They're a little over budget for really where interest rates are, but at the same time, if you can get that, lock in the property and then just refinance out later, or change the rate later. Maybe you can get something in the 5s, something high 4s if you own a rock down the road. I think it could be fantastic, but just what they want price wise right now is a little ridiculous, which it might seem cheap to you, Brandon. Down there, we're looking at $425 for a duplex, 1,200 square feet per side, 3-bedroom. I think it's 3-bedroom, 1 bath.
Rents? What are the rents in that area?
So that's what they were saying. I've talked to people that have bought their properties before, and they claim that you can rent it for $1,800. A lot of these people are saying they're having a really difficult time because of it's just at that $1,800 point. But if they drop it into $1,700 or high 1,600s, they're able to get them rented.
Yeah, what I see, even when people like this situation, they always advertise max market rents, and to get it to make it appealing to people. And I never buy properties at max market rents. If it's max market, it is not a good buy. I'm actually, for the way I look at it, even with the single families and the multifamilies, I look at low market, which is about 5% below average market. I'm wanting it to cash flow. For me, I'm looking at 9% cash on cash with low market rents. And if I get average, so I'm trying to stay in there because I want less vacancy. When you're going for max market rents, you might get it. It might take you a couple of months. So then you can't make up vacancy. So you might end up getting that max market, but then it's turning over more often. And what I've found, if I'm going for tenants that are at 5% below market rents, I tend to actually get higher dollars per year being there because I have less vacancy, or when it does turn over, it rents that much faster. And I've actually produced a video that's coming out here in a couple of weeks talking on those specific things. That is another lesson I've learned. It ties really back to it on the fourplex. You think, you don't know what you don't know until you get in the game. And the key to it is getting that first rental. And it doesn't have to be the home run. It's just the base hit or even a bunt. It's just a good, decent first property, and you're learning how to be an excellent investor. And so I've switched my fourplex. I was doing max market rents. I'm talking from pain. I'm not saying I got it perfect. Dylan, I know you, Mark, the beauty of this group is we share our losses. We share the L's. And I was going after max market rents. And so I was having this turnover. And so I switched to low market. Now, unfortunately, that was a big switch. My rental dollar revenue came down a little bit. It still was cash flowing healthy, but my vacancy declined. So even though I'm getting, say, $40, $50 less a month on the rental, I'm having less vacancy, and I don't have that month vacancy when I'm having to rent it again, or even 6 weeks when I'm trying to get max market rents. Those are the things you learn to make it a home run.
Yeah, my portfolio is structured very similar where I look at what I actually call the other apartment buildings around me. And I
Yes.
say, hey, what's your 2-1 renting for? And they'll give me exactly what they have recently leased it for, what it's listed for. And I'm able to build like essentially like what somebody would do with Rentometer, except I find this more accurate because it's literally what they've been leasing their places for. And I try to be quite a bit below that, like $100 below market, because if I am able to avoid turnover, I'm able to save myself a lot of money. Like I just recently did a turnover in the summer for one of my apartments, and it was like $15,000. Granted, I had to do a new AC unit and everything like that, but the average turnover is still like $5,000. So, if you have 4 years of no vacancy, at that $100 a month, that's kind of like your break-even point, I guess, on if you have to do a turnover. But it's still substantially better if you can decrease it across your overall portfolio.
And less hassles too. So that's that's what I'm trying to do also is find that optimal price point where I have less turnover. I know there's going to be natural turnover. It's just you can't avoid some. But if you can optimize it, by just coming down from max market rents to average or slightly below average and having less vacancy, it's also just less work on the turnover.
Charles Helicopter McCune I think he's asking multifamily home in a single family home area.
In our area, you can't do that. It's zoning, and the way zoning works is the cities will have a master plan, and usually you can find those online on the city website, what their long-term 30, 50-year master plan, and they will create nodes or areas where it's going to be multifamily, where it's going to be single family, where it's commercial. Typically, they want it to transition from single family to where it's starting to transition into multifamily, and then from multifamily to commercial, and then industrials in a totally different area. You can look at those in the master plans or call the city to find out where the master plans of an area that might be zoned for multifamily, you're going to get them more workable with you. Because, the hardest thing right now is to find a lot of land that's zoned for like, just say small multifamily, 2 to 4. You've got to work within the guidelines, trying to fight against the current. You're not going to make any progress. But if you go to the cities, I'm talking about, these are the cities that I'm working in. My cities, when I'm talking about it, one city that I build in is about 35,000 residents. The other city in the trade area, it's about 25,000 residents. You go to those cities and ask, where are you wanting it to go into multifamily, and then begin looking for the land. Just right now, I've found a lot of single families. And in my area for Texas, you've got high property tax. And I know y'all all talk about it. We all talk about that, about Texas property tax. Well, I found an area right at the edge of the city limits that has no city taxes. Well, it went from roughly, our city taxes, or typical property tax, averages around 2.2 to 2.3 in my area. Well, this area is 1.2%. Well, that extra 1% is a big win and makes it cash flow. And so right now, yes, I've got my GC Chris, he's building. I'm already looking out ahead saying, hey, if you find some more land, we're looking at it ourselves. I'm able to look out to the horizon, trying to get ahead of it with land, because a build's going to take me 6 to 9 months. I want to be able to start moving towards the next build soon after. So you've got to always be looking out ahead. You've got to create this long runway with builds. And I didn't have it at first. So don't think I did at the beginning. I've just now progressed where I've got dirt all the way to 2027. So I've got to find something for 2027, new projects, but I've got builds into 2027. I just got to find dirt to start in 27.
So that property tax that you're talking about in your county, is that what the investors pay, or is that homeowners?
We don't have a distinguish. Well,
Oh,
other than
okay.
you don't have homestead. We have homestead exemption. So if you're
Mhm.
living in it yourself, you get, well, we're about to vote today, I don't think anybody's going to turn down an extra $40,000 exemption. So I think it's going to pass. So, but we get to take an exemption of 140,000. But if it's rental property, you don't have any exemptions.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was looking at the part of Illinois, like right above Chicago, for housing. I'm used to Indiana, where we have a differentiation where the ceiling for owner occ is 1% and investor properties is 2%. I was looking at owner occupied 2.5%, $600,000 purchase price. So I was like, if I pay off this house, I still pay like $1,200, $1,500 a month. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, so I like all these single family builds are in it's 1.2%, and it's not part of city limits, and I don't think there's any plan for it to be that. And so that's why I keep building these single family homes. Guys, they're cash flowing at 14% cash on cash return, brand new builds. Why would I give that up? I'm going to keep building with that. My multifamily lot that I've got is not going to cash flow that high, so I'm kind of keep putting it off. It will cash flow, but I keep putting it off because these are doing so well. Yes, Josh says it. Galveston is brown and dirty. Port A is much whiter sand and a clean beach town. And I know you Gen Z, Dylan, it's not a party town. It's more of a family friendly town, but it's a great beach town.
Oh, my favorite place to go to the beach. I just go hang. My grandparents, they have a place in Belize where they spend a lot of time. So like, it's all old people down there, and I go hang out with them.
It's a lot of our age group, and I'm seeing some of that younger millennial group is starting to come. This is a resort, so we've got beach attendants that you can order your food. We've got 2 big resort pools with swim up bars. It's very nice, and you can see from the background. I mean, it's a highly regulated HOA, but it has, you have to even get your exterior colors approved. It has to be the windows have to be very symmetrical, but it helps protect your values. I mean, it's got a specific look. And yeah, I see Hiders in here. Yeah, maybe we can coordinate and we'll do a trip down here sometime. It's got great fishing in Port A, if you know, Hyder.
Where was the other one? Troy's just saying, Brandon, what you've accomplished is amazing. I love seeing and hearing the next projects. And he just also says, Brandon, the place you're in right now is it an Airbnb you operate?
It is. If y'all want to look at it, and I'll give the story. So I don't talk about this one because it's really break even, and it was bought for my wife. So when I told her I was going to sell it because it's not making money, she broke out and I'm not exaggerating, bawling, crying, saying, I dreamed as a little girl of owning a beach house. And I knew that couch, I could maybe last a week sleeping there, but months. So I gave up on trying to sell it. So this house, its name is Turtle Ranzis. You can just type in Turtle Ranzis and it'll show up. My daughter named it when she was 8 years old. And so every room, my wife and I, we do design work. So we designed it floor to ceiling. Every furniture, fixture, plumbing fixture, each bathroom is different. Each room has a theme, but it's really classy look, not that boho. Boho can look nice too, but it's not the real cheap. It's a very upscale beach look. We're trying to reach a certain demographic. This one rents in the summertime. we're running around $600 a night in the summer. July 4th, it rents for $1,000 a night for that week.
Damn.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Chris Webb is saying, I just finished the part of Dion's book about the winter lease end dates, and it is in line with the limited turnover. Limited turnover Brandon is talking about. And he says, did I miss the low market formula? Is it like 80% of the FMR?
I am looking at average market rents because I do have access to MLS. I'm a realtor and a broker. So I'm looking at MLS and I'm looking at what it's renting for and drilling down. I don't know if y'all remember a couple of weeks ago, Michael had a phenomenal video with the guy from Rentometer. It was excellent, and I commented on it. So he looked at the difference between a 2.1 and a 2.2. And so, of course, I'm on there myself as soon as I'm watching this video, and I'm looking it up. And I even posted the differences in my area going from a 2.1 to a 2.2. So I'm looking at it, drilling it down through MLS of what rents are. And I'm wanting to be 5% below average median rent is the way I'm looking at it, Chris, is median rent. I'm not using fair market rent, though you could do it from a formula that way because that's public data. But I don't look at it. I'm looking at actual. And when I'm looking at it, I'm looking at actual leased comps, not what they're asking. I'm looking at what the tenant is paying. Because a lot of people look at what's asking and they can't see what is actually leasing. And I did this when I was as a listing agent. I don't talk about this a lot. Y'all, I sold over almost 2,000 properties over 11 years. And I would teach the agents. I was one of the teachers for Keller Williams. I was an actual coach for other teams. They would always look at list price. I said, no, you never use list data. You're using actual sold data. And the principle is the same. You want to actually use actual leased data, not what people are asking, but what it's leasing for. Sorry, I'm getting into preaching mode.
You never. No, Dion does say slightly lower rents also get smarter tenants.
Yes.
Ones who also did a rent study. 5% works well.
I do want to add a caveat to Dion's winter end of lease thing. He has said himself, and I just want to point this out to Chris. I don't know what market you're in, but like if you're in a market like I'm in, or a market like Matt, the lumberjack landlord, is in, I do not want my leases to end in the winter time, because if I have to try to release that place, I'm probably going to be holding it until March to be able to get somebody to move into that unit. That being said, I'm pretty sure he said that.
Yeah, so Chris is in Virginia. And on that point, so I'm going to be live streaming tomorrow at 2 p.m. Pacific with Millennial Mike. And there's going to be some questions for him too, because some people have brought to my attention, like in a Gary WhatsApp group, and I guess they were given notice that they cannot do evictions between November and February, I believe. And some of them weren't aware of that. Some of them are saying like, "Oh yeah, like the sheriff's message was like, oh, I've been doing this every year." So I don't think it's a law, but it's coming down from the sheriff's side. So I'm going to dig into that with Millennial Mike tomorrow at 2 p.m. Pacific, so tune in for that also. Hey, good morning, Jen. I see Jen tuning in. Let's see, what else was there? There was another question here somewhere for you. There was one. Shoot, I thought I saw it from Harrison for you, Dylan. Well, if not, I'll look for it. But Brandon, getting back to the build to rent, what would be maybe the biggest reality check you faced after breaking ground? Would it be timeline, cost, or expectations?
Boy, that's a good question. I can't think of one right now because I built so many houses. I knew what to expect. I do think realizing if you've never done it or have done it with limited experience, every time you're talking to the builder and say, hey, I want to make this change, they're always going to say, oh yeah, we can do that. We can do that. And then you get the bill afterwards. You have to ask, okay, if we were to make this change, what is the cost? Is it the same? We're doing this on 2 builds right now. We're changing the elevation because it's a side-by-side build, and that's what's going to be unique about this. We're trying to get some savings. We're already getting our goal is to get up to 5% savings because contractors are hungry for work right now, and we're doing it at 2 builds at the same time, a little bit of scale. But I think just understanding when you're talking to the builder and making a change, ask what is the cost, because they tend to not tell you till after the fact, and then you get the invoice for that. But the way I do my builds, I've seen a lot of people get burned where they're paying them even for the materials and then paying for the labor. I've got a builder that he pays for all of that, and I only get the invoice after the work's done and after I've inspected it. That's when I pay him. That's the ideal scenario of the way you want to structure the contract, is you pay him once the work's done, not during the work, because there's a lot of horror stories of people getting taken.
Now, I would assume that's in tranches, though, for the work being done.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So, in this build, and I don't think I even stated that in that build, how often. My total number of draws ended up being, I think it was 8 or maybe 9. It wasn't that many. It was about once every. There were sections where you were getting more invoices more often when it was some heavy work being done, but then it slowed down to maybe once a month. But I would say my builds typically are between 6 and 8 months, and it's about 8 draws throughout the process. And that's draws from, I have a construction loan with the bank, and that's draws me doing the draw from the bank. So once I get the invoice, they know that it takes about 3 or 4 days, and then I'll write the check and get it to them. What I did uniquely on this one this year, because I knew the Fed, what they were going to be doing is probably lowering rates. Instead of doing a fixed rate, I asked for a floating rate this year, because I figure I'm going to save, and it already happened last week. So, because I'd already closed on the loan, we did prime minus a half was the rate that I was making them all compete, and that's what I got. And so the rate went down another 1/4 point. So now I'm at 6.5 on my rate. And if the Fed does any more rate decreases, which there's chance of that over the next 9 months, I could have done fixed. You would have done fixed at maybe 7. Well, I'm now at 6.5, and it's probably going to go down a little bit over the next 9 months. It's going to save me. I'm down to looking at little things of saving. If I make a little adjustment, this adjustment alone is probably going to save me about $400 to $500. It's not much, but then little things I look at, I'm looking at ways throughout the build project. If I can save $100 doing 2 3050 windows, and that's 3 foot wide, 5 foot high windows. If I do, and really these windows are 2.5 foot, roughly 30 inches, not 36. Instead of doing 2 3050 windows, doing 1 4060 window, 4 foot wide and 6 foot wide. In these rooms, the size works. Well, I go 1 window instead of 2. It's saving about $350 on that window set, but still provides the light and the people to be able to the experience the way the people want it. But it saved me $350 on that window set. I'm starting to perfect the process, and if you want to say it, I'm hitting home runs, because I'm building the same house over and over and over again, and you find little things to optimize it.
So back to Dylan's point, Dion does say, yes, if you live in Siberia, winter is a bad time for lease to renew. And yes, Chris Webb says, that is a point I thought about since I am from the Northeast. Winter is cold in the Northeast, but I also lived in Northern Colorado, and a move can happen out there. Yeah. And Hyder does confirm, says, yes, some kind of eviction moratorium starting November 15th. We have an eviction to file before then.
Yep, we did a trash out yesterday, or at least my business did. We don't have too many trash outs. We're managing 230 doors. This is the third trash out in 5 years. So we've been pretty good about not having that.
Sorry. Hyder does say yes. I'm the same kind of payment schedule I shoot for. I take the risk and expenses and get paid at the end. This has only bit me in the wallet once for 4K. I do see Alex Dutter tuning in from Instagram. He was on live stream yesterday with me. Want to share his journey of the 5 years of suck and also let everyone know that he's doing okay. He's a government employee, not getting paid right now. A couple vacancies, but he's also very glad that he does have a rental portfolio to kind of help him through this time. So he definitely wants to share his story. So that was a good live stream yesterday. So if you haven't seen it, go check out the replay.
Is that the same one that Dion interviewed a week or two ago? Is that who we're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he also wanted to share his story because about the community, because he after his live, I believe, with Dion, someone from the community reached out to him and was kind of, hey man, you need any assistance? You need some help, to get through this time. And I think that was very moving for him, right? Just to see this community reach out to others that are maybe in this time of, not receiving their paycheck and just checking in and seeing if you need anything. So he also wanted to share that. Flavio, tuning in from one of your guys' channels, I'm not sure which one, but it says, Brandon, if the lot costs you $120K, still work for you? That's what is the cost of a empty lot in my area.
It would be, the answer is possibly. It depends on how many doors you can get on there. What I'm looking at is about, and this is the metric, I'm going to give a hard number and then I'm going to give a percentage number. And I know this doesn't translate across the country. That's the challenge in that build to rent model, is it doesn't work everywhere. But for my area, I'm looking at a metric of the dollars at between 50 and 20,000 per door. So if I can get a quadplex on there, I could spend up to 80,000 for the dirt. If I could get an 8-plex, 2 4-plex units, or a 12, let's just say 10-plex. If I can have 10 units on the property at 20,000 a door, I could spend 200 grand. The other way I look at it is a 50. My ideal is 50 to 75% of 1 year's rents. If I can get that number, that's my optimum number. But I could go up to 100% of annualized rents. That's another way of looking at it by percentage. So the 120 could work. It's just how many doors could you get on? If it's one door, no, it doesn't work, because I'm spending. I bought a couple of tax sale lots in the last 2 years. I got one for $10,000, and this is with utilities. I mean, it had all the utilities there. So, and that's what I look for, is relatively flat lots that doesn't have a lot of grade to them, because then you're going to have to add retaining walls. So I'm looking at relatively flat lots with utilities. I haven't gone into the septic yet. I know Dion likes some of his septic, and I'm not saying I'm not opposed to it. It's just adding one more complexity and a little more cost. And I've looked at it with my builder. It's going to cost me about 10 grand more a build. Not saying it's an absolute no, but on the retaining wall, I messed on one. I missed it. Cost me 4 grand on the retaining wall, but I made it up throughout the build. So you just never know, but you're wanting those flat lots. What are you laughing?
No, I just Chris Webb is complaining about the ads that pop up. So Chris, I do want to apologize. I'm still trying to I'm trying to figure out. So once you get monetized, you have the option to put ads up, sharing on your live streams and whatnot. So yes, the ads are on for my videos, but I think that's also how they get you to pay for premium, right? So that you don't have the ads popping up.
To be fair, premium's fantastic. I don't know.
I love premium.
If you got to fly, download YouTube videos, you can watch them. I don't watch Netflix. I don't watch Hulu. I don't watch anything else. I watch YouTube videos because I like learning stuff or seeing what everybody else is doing. And it's like, oh yeah, $25 a month. I thought it was cheaper than that. I thought it was $22.99.
Hey, Janitor on Fire is here. Haven't seen him in a while. He says $25 a month is well worth it. Yeah, Janitor on Fire. I'm sorry about your Cowboys last night. But
Yeah.
but I haven't seen you in a while. But keep putting on. I see videos from you every once in a while.
Hey,
Uh,
I want to say something on the fire movement. I want to dive. I want to dive into. I just look at it and I don't want to feel like I'm living poor in retirement than when I actually am poor, still saving towards retirement. That's just my perspective.
I think Dion is still here. I think. Oh no, Zuber might have talked about that actually on one of his videos. But a lot of people liked during Alex's live stream how he. Oh no, it might have been Dion, but he was talking about pre-wealthy, and a lot
Yes,
of people
yeah.
liked that term. So I think it was from Dion their live stream together with Alex. But a lot of
And that's
people
why I
did like.
created my short this weekend, and just thinking about what is valuable in life, and everybody's different. So don't, it's not just one perspective, just like there's not just one way to do this. It's what are the experiences, what you're wanting to do. And both extremes, I think people naturally want to go to extremes. Both extremes I don't think are healthy.
Yes, Chris, you're gonna have to join. So even Hyder says, yes, premium is the best. I pay $13.99 a month. Uh, I guess everyone else is paying a lot more.
I
Sean
pay
Lambert.
for family plan.
Oh, okay. Sean Lambert does say, I finally took the crowbar to my wallet and paid for YouTube Premium. It's life changing. Oh, and we do have advice from, I'm not sure, Mr. I don't know, YK. I don't know how to say it, but sorry if I didn't say it correctly. But it says, or watch on your computer with an ad blocker installed for a browser extension, and it works fine without ads. So yes, I do want to remind everyone also, Dion should be live streaming at what 2 p.m. Pacific. No, not 2 p.m. Pacific. 4 p.m. Pacific time with daylight savings. Damn, messing me up. 4 p.m. Pacific time. Dion should be live streaming today. Dylan, did you have, like I said, I saw your video talking about build to rent. Did you have any more kind of question you want to dig into with Brandon since this is his niche?
So what I've really liked about the build to rent, and I think this is where the question would lie, but I don't know if you've done any of these yet. I like the idea of building smaller spaces, but building more of them instead of like there. A lot of what I see being built is more of like luxury style. Like the property that I walked was two 1,200 square foot, 3 bedroom, 2 bath units in a duplex for 425. What I want to build is something that's like maybe 500 or 600 square feet, maybe 2 bedroom, maybe 1 bedroom, and make them more affordable. So instead of having to rent them out for 1,700 a month, I can rent them out for like $900 to $1,000 a month, just to provide more affordable housing in the market that I live in. Um, that is more of the realm that I'm interested in getting to now. Whether it, and then I think the question there is like, what size do we really need to get to before that starts to make
Efficiency.
sense?
Yeah. Because you're going to have some fixed costs that are going to drive up the cost per square foot. That's the challenge you would have, because there's just some things that are going to be a cost no matter what, whether it's 700 square feet or 1,200 square feet. So that's going to be the challenge you have, is finding that right spot where you can build it. I mean, because you're going to have those costs of the kitchen are going to be pretty much mostly the same. Yeah, there might be slight adjustments, even on the flooring. And I'm thinking of sheetrock. I'm thinking of everything that's happening. Sorry, it's a little loud here. But it's all going to be similar in cost. And that's what's going to be the challenge. Yeah, you'll be slightly less, 10-15% less, but you're going to be the numbers. It's going to be a challenge to work. You would have to do mass scale. I mean, it would have to be lots of units to get it back where that scale would work.
I was thinking like 10 to 20 is where it would probably start to make sense for me. Like no less than that, because I have to buy a big enough lot to fit the units on and
Right.
everything.
Steve, the accidental landlord, says, is the lot entitlement process costly and time consuming? Do you hire a polling consultant to assist with that process?
Do you hire a
Oh,
a
man, you're pretty good, man. And do you use the lot as leverage to finance the build?
Yes. So no, the entitlement process is not long. I know certain states use attorneys to close. We use title companies here in Texas. It's not long, and I don't have to have a consultant. And this is the relationships. Mike and I talk about that in our interview from last week. I've got a relationship with a title company that's the one title company I use for all my closings. And now they're only charging me $250 to close with them. And then all the other fees are the mandatory title insurance, which you want to have title insurance, not to protect you. And then just whatever the state fees to get it processed. So I use them and I don't hire anybody, but I do use the land. That's part of my initial, if you want to say that's the down payment. These lots, say 10 to 15,000. I'm putting in a total of 20,000 on the single family builds. So if I paid 15 for the lot, that's most of what I'm around where I'm paying. I only have to put in another 5,000 throughout the build to finish up the project because they're appraising at 20% more than my cost. If I'm building these roughly around 205,000 all in with the lot, with the interest carry, that's every cost from start to finish. And then right now they're appraising out at 265,000. I already have that forced equity in it. And if you were doing a typical 75% loan to value, well, I could only put 5, so I could pull money back. I'd only have to put 5. I just prefer, and I know Dion said the same thing. We're both similar. It's starting out at 70% loan to value, and there's a reason why. It's if you got into a distressed position, you would need cash. And if you're distressed, you're typically discounting about 10% to get it to move fast, 10% in closing costs to sell it to somebody. Using a realtor, it's roughly 10. And then if you're having to sell because you're in that desperate situation, at least you would have 10% cash back in your pocket. That's why it's a healthy to start at 70%. You're not going to be at break even or underwater and you can't sell and you end up filing bankruptcy. That's why I always recommend there's a reason for 70.
I do want to remind everyone, if you need a good lender to work with, Joel Farrell, Lending for Entrepreneurs, is here in the chat. He's also in the school community. I'll be live streaming with him tomorrow, but his YouTube channel is in the chat. A lot of people from school have connected with him. I know Jim had a high praise for him, and even Val just recently did something with him, and Val said he felt like a rock star working with Joe. Joe treated him like he was someone. So Val felt like he's like, man, I felt like I was an investor, like he just. So yes, very positive word for Joe to reach out to him. There is.
And I want to get into my the second house lesson before we.
Sure,
It's a good one. So you will see this in the presentation. I did it, and I put if you call it cash out, and this is why I'm so adamant on the 70. This property, this is the one that was the triplex with the storage units. And so it's cash flowing close to $200 a month. Good. Yeah, everybody would say that's a good one. And the numbers work. Well, it was at 85% loan to value. And what's happened over the last couple of years? It was just under 200. Well, my insurance went up and my property tax went up. And now my margins are only around $100 a door. It's not where I want to be. I think I compromised. And if I would have been at 70% loan to value, because I cash some of that money out, if I was closer to that 70% loan to value, I would still be at $250 to $300 a door. There's now at this $300, $350. I think it's closer to $350. It's just too thin of a margin that I'm comfortable with. And it's because I compromised from going from 70% to 85%. That's one lesson. The other lesson was, as I did this floor plan, I designed it. I felt like the living room kitchen space was too narrow. So the next floor plan, when I do build this and film it, it'll be about 2 foot longer. It was just a little tight, and I've had a few of the tenants. They're still there, but they talk about it. One good thing I learned, I optimized the space on the second floor. So these are townhouse style. So they're not having another tenant live above them. So they're side by side. They have 2 sets of 2x6s with a gap in between. And we use sound barrier sheetrock and spray foam. We've never had a single complaint. We did have the water heater. The air handler was up in the attic, but the water heater was in a closet. I moved it upstairs and used that space to build a small office space. That has been a big hit. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, but we did a built-in. We just did a Formica countertop and some lighting there. They love it, and we've had some people make comment that they enjoyed renting there and having that office space, because there are a percentage that are working from home or for their kids to have a desk space. That was one of the things I learned from the build.
All right. So talking about community and networking. So Joel says he needs to reach out to you. He says, I have dirt in Santa Rosa Beach.
Do it, Joel. I think if you don't have my number, we'll coordinate. I'll get it to you.
I'll get you guys connected. Or Joe will be here. Like I said, Joe will be live streaming tomorrow with me, Lauren, Elaine, and new guest Elisa Fit. So come check us out. 10:45 a.m. Eastern. Chris, I should skip over your question since you don't have premium. But he says, Brandon, can a plot of land that is in a residential area with a mobile on it be a good candidate for build to rent? I assume there are utilities since there's a home next door.
Well, I mean, it could be septic. I mean, there's a lot of mobiles with septic there. But yeah, if it's got a mobile on it, you've got power already up to the lot. It just does it have sewer or septic? And I know a lot of mobiles, they tend to be septic.
I do see Andy tuning in last minute. My Bears beat his Bengals last second, so he's kind of upset at me, but I just had to throw that out there. Let's see what else. I think that's the last of the questions, so we can wrap things up soon. Anything else you guys want to dig into about lessons learned? Let me see what else I got here. Maybe for the financing side, because even Lending One, who came to this past year or year 2 ORAD event, they were one of the lenders that kind of have a build to rent model,
they
right?
They could do construction loans. They were, and that was a good group to bring on a national level. So Lending One, yes, they could do construction loan lending. And Michael and I talked about it. I did go talk to them and then reported back to Michael. I chose not to use them on the construction side because they were a little higher interest rate than what I could get with my local community bank. And I think that's where you're going to get the more workable terms, is with those relationship type banks, even not the big banks, not the Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, those type. You're not going to get near a workable relationship. It's going to be your local community bank that's probably going to have better terms for the construction process. And then at the end of construction is when you're doing the takeout with the 30-year permanent.
All right, I see Janelle tuning in. She's a new member in school. She's in California, and yes, she's asking if Joel does DSCR loans, and Joel does. But Janelle, I will message you in school, and I'll connect you with Joel. And Chris Webb is, thanks. Skip ads, yes. Hey, I see Kenny tuning in. So Kenny also bought the Ninja Creamy that Zuber's been mentioning on his recent videos. I got one too. Have any of you guys picked it up?
I heard you talk. No, I have not.
I've had it for a while, and I've very, very sparingly used it.
Dude, that thing is awesome. I mean, you do have to figure out your whatever mixture you want to use, but that thing works well, man. Let's see. Anything else? Dylan, you want to wrap anything else? Lessons learned?
I'm drawing a blank right now. I wish I had something inspirational to say at the end.
Well, how about even so it seems like you're trying to put out more content too, right?
Mhm.
Hey, Elisa comments, yes, protein ice cream. So yes, like I said, Elisa is going to be on tomorrow. Her and the husband, my buddy Tyler, they've reached financial freedom. They're also house hacking in Hawaii, but she's a pharmacist at Costco. I gotta let Lynn know, but she, stepped away from that, a good, well-paying job, to now follow like her passion, building like an online fitness community for women. So she'll be joining us on the live stream tomorrow and kind of tying in how reaching financial freedom. Now you can do kind of your passion projects and what you want to work on, right? But what were you saying, Dan, about the lessons learned? Was that what you're gonna do?
Yeah, I got some. So the first thing, which I mentioned in the video that I posted last week, is if I could go back, I probably wouldn't have quit what I was doing as soon as my cash flow equaled my expenses and just went off on my own, because I was already making like pretty good money as is. And I could have just used the fact that I could conventionally get finance to save over 100% of my salary. Cause I was like, at this point, I am where my rents exceed my expenses. And then I think I still have like $1,000 left over every month after that. I would have instead just stacked all that money and just kept going through the suck to have a ton of money now to go buy stuff. Now I can do refinances and everything, and I've been selling houses, so it's been fine. But I think that would have been the smarter way to do that. So don't quit as soon as it's equal, even though everybody's excited to get to that point. I would say make sure it's at least like a multiple, like 2-3 times before you decide to just jump ship. Then on the content side, I'm trying to build that up a lot more, put more effort into the videos. I have been, going on live streams like this, and then me, Jack, and Lynn host one every weekend. I wanted to put out some more edited content that was just like me talking to the camera, because I'm trying to build more of an audience on that side. I just enjoy like sharing what I've learned building my portfolio, and then I think having an audience also opens doors for you to connect with other people that also do the same thing.
Yep.
Brandon, any final thoughts on the social media side too? Because I see you putting a lot of content out recently. So there is Dylan and Brandon's YouTube channel also in the chat. So go subscribe if you haven't yet. But I see you putting out some content recently too, Brandon.
Yeah, I'm doing, Dylan, what you're talking about. I do some, I don't call them edited because there's not much editing to mine, but if you want to call it edited content, where I'm filming stuff and I'm watching other people's discussions, and it'll give me an idea, and I start taking notes, and I'm thinking of what I'm going to put out as a response or another thought. I don't know what you'd call it, but something will prompt up something like, you know what, I want to put some content on this specific subject, because it made me think of it when I was watching our group's videos or somebody else's videos. And I did one of the 5 years, or the 5 years of suck. And I was kind of walking through financials and how you're not really progressing very much. Sorry.
Is that a helicopter flying by? Is that Charles and his wife?
Hope nobody's dying. That's the helicopters checking the beaches. Yeah, tough life here today. So,
That's Charles flying by.
That's right. That's Charles flying into Port A. But, I did one on financials and just how you never feel like you're progressing that first 5 years. Because Dion's talked about this. He's given me some of these ideas too. And I show what changes in 10 years and how much dramatically it gets better after those first 5 years. I don't go into everything that can suck, because there's just unlimited things. I just went through some financials where it does cash flow and you just don't progress much the first 5 years. So that's what I was talking about. But we're all building on each other's content. And then with Mark, I've been able to add these lives once a week. And so that's been my ad, is a little bit of live audience, because most of my stuff's recorded.
Yeah, he brings a little professionalism to the lives too. So I can't got to keep the shenanigans down. So that's why I bring Brandon on and Cody on. But yeah, like I said, reminder, Dion will be live streaming today at 4 p.m. Pacific. I'll be back tomorrow, 10:45 Eastern, with Joel, Lauren, and Alisa. And I'll be at actually 4 p.m. Eastern. Wait, man, I don't even know. 2 p.m. Pacific, I know. I'll be with Millennial Mike tomorrow, catching up on things. It's been a long time I chatted with him, so we'll catch up. We'll see who's going to hit financial freedom first, the old police and fire rivalry. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of jabs thrown tomorrow. It's always fun getting you guys back on. Yeah, so Tuesday, I'll see you, Brandon, next week. If you haven't, everyone go subscribe to everyone's channel, and I'll see you guys on Dion's Live later today. Thanks for doing this.